I discovered that my husband, who usually never eats sour things, was actually eating oranges. To verify my suspicion, I immediately went and bought several boxes of the same oranges and brought them to the office, distributing them to all the employees as a perk. That moment, a subordinate mentioned that the CEO's secretary had bought the same oranges. I immediately approached the secretary to ask how she could afford oranges that cost $25 each. The secretary stammered and couldn't answer. Seeing this, I told her to focus on her work and not let her mind wander to things she shouldn't. For saying this, I turned and left. I thought my words would make the secretary back off, but after work, my husband told me not to worry about the secretary. Hearing this, I immediately sensed that something was wrong, so I asked my husband what had happened. Then my husband told me that, after everyone else had left, the secretary went into the office. As soon as she sat down, she began crying and complaining about her grievances, telling my husband about the warning I had given her today, saying that she was only genuinely concerned about his health and didn't expect me to warn him. After hearing my husband, I immediately understood the secretary's intentions. But before I could resolve the issue with the secretary, an even worse situation occurred. I suddenly learned that the company's largest investor had pulled out. I thought it was because my husband's temper had angered them. I went to my husband, wanting him to apologize to the investor to try to recover the loss. But my husband not only refused, he asked me whether I valued him or money more. Left with no choice, I had to go to the investor myself to apologize. But faced with my apology, the investor became increasingly unreasonable. To secure the investment, I had to suppress my anger. Yet I learned from the client that the real reason they withdrew was because my husband had thrown a fit at a drinking event. But my husband, who was always so good-tempered, how could this happen? Before I could even make sense of it, the investor actually began to physically confront me. I could no longer contain my anger, and I gave up on the deal, scolding the investor fiercely. Afterward, I left and went to the restroom, scrubbing my hands hard. To understand the truth of the matter, I returned to the company and immediately asked my subordinates about the situation. From them, I learned that, when the secretary and my husband attended the drinking event, she had deliberately provoked my husband's emotions, which caused the conflict between my husband and the investor. Once I understood the situation, I immediately confronted the secretary. I took out an envelope and handed it to her, telling her that she was fired. Seeing this, the secretary tried to plead for mercy, but I warned her again. After that, the secretary no longer sought help from me. Then I told my husband about the situation. But not only did he not blame me, he said it was his fault and apologized to me. Seeing this, I didn't think much of it, but I hadn't noticed the displeased expression on my husband's face.